I did clean this gearbox earlier. I cleaned all the gears and reattached all the shims, and I've got some lube here ready to use. Now, what I'm going to be using is this white lithium grease, which comes in a spray can from Halfords. It's good stuff. I don't spray it on. It's a bit messy. What I like to do is I like to put it into a little bowl like this, let all the thinners that accompany the grease evaporate and all the air bubbles evaporate, and then apply it with a paintbrush, like so. That's purely for the gears. Any metal to metal contact will need that grease. I'll put it there so you can see it a bit better. And it's also safe with electrics. Where compressed air is concerned with the cylinder, this needs a different type of lubricant, okay? And it's for the inside of the cylinder. I use this special recipe stuff. In fact, it's Element cylinder grease, which I find really very good. The best stuff I've ever used is Systema cylinder grease, but it's incredibly expensive, and you're expected to reapply every couple of thousand rounds, which is a bit ridiculous, and it does add to the FPS, but this stuff seems to last quite well and does the job. Now, where that's going to be going is just on here where the nozzle goes, which will lubricate. There's a rubber seal inside here, and that'll help keep that airtight. Also, where I like to put it is just really round here. I'll stretch the O-ring slightly. I've already checked the compression. It's good with this piston. This is the new piston I'm going to be applying. It's got a Systema aluminium head and a new TM piston, which I've adapted slightly. That tooth there is gone. The next tooth is half gone. So what happens is that I've also adjusted the angle of engagement. I don't know if you can see it. There's a sort of a couple of washers in there. They're plastic washers that you can buy. They're just thin plastic hard washers. Now, some people don't like these aluminium piston heads because they can cause premature failure of the version 2 gearbox. I've never had that happen with a GMP style reinforced gearbox. I've had it happen with TM gearboxes many times. I think everyone has version 2 gearboxes, but I've never had it go with any other type. And also, the most important thing is to ensure that the cylinder head inside, okay, I don't know whether you can see it there, but there is a rubber cushion in there. Okay, now if that is in good order, this is in good order, that should help cushion the shock that an aluminium piston head will give when that's coming forwards 700 or 800 times a minute. And this is a very nice cylinder head. Actually, it's very tight. It's good. It's nicely tight. It's tightly fitted in there, and it's very tight in the gearbox, which is nice. Anywhere where plastic and metal meets, you need to use a different lubricant. Okay, and I just mixed some up earlier. What I use is a silicone grease, which I thin slightly with ordinary silicone oil. This is Abbey silicone oil, which is alright, but very often I'll add a bit of this, okay, which is spray silicone oil, which is very thin, and the thinner the better, really, basically. You don't want it too heavy. The only problem is, you've got to be aware of this, is that it does carry in it a thinner type compound, which you have to allow a certain period of time for it to evaporate. So I've done that earlier. I prepared it earlier, put it in this little pot here, mixed it up, and so that's quite a nice thin grease that will help any plastic to metal areas that need to be lubricated. Now, that would be the rails here, okay, where the piston slides up and down. There's rails here, okay, where the tappet plate rides. That's a good place to add a little bit. You don't need much, it's just a little bit. the white lithium will go on the gears. I'll apply a little round the bearings. The bearings have already got some grease in there, and there is a school of thought that says white lithium will clog bearings. I don't know. I really don't know. But we'll see. It's always been fine for me anyway. I'll apply some of this lithium grease on the teeth of the gears, and also in the gearbox where there's a possibility. You can see some marks here where at some point there's been contact there, and anywhere where metal to metal touches, you want to use white lithium. Plastic to metal, silicon. In the cylinders you have to use a special type of grease. I think this must have some kind of high pressure qualities, I don't know, but it's bloody good stuff anyway, I like it. And again, that's the white lithium grease. You buy it from Halfords 5 or something like that, and I don't spray it straight on. I spray it into a little pot, let the carrying thinners evaporate in the air to escape, and you've got some nice grease there. Eventually it will dry to a powdery texture, but this is really what G&P use. When you open up a G&P gearbox that hasn't been opened previously, you'll see it has lots of white deposits, and that's what that is. It's white lithium grease. I've got a number of different springs I can try. Now I've got Mike's Original, which is a standard G&P. If you're lucky, you get about 320 out of one of these. I suspect it's probably going to be more like about 300. Don't know whether I want to use that actually. I've got a selection of other springs here. I think that's a 120, which we could try. I've got that's chop. I don't want to use that one. That's chopped down. This is a good one. This is I think that's an M110. I think. But we'll try different springs possibly. We'll see. If it comes out, I think Mike wants to use this as DMR, so he wants it about 400, between 350 and 400 FPS, but we'll just see. Because it will still have a fully auto function, not everyone agrees with that. I've got another various springs here, so we'll try. I think that might be, let's put those down a minute. From memory, that's an M120 and that's an M110. So probably be using one of those, we'll see. But with a longer barrel, it's got an unvented cylinder, it's got without a window in it, so a longer barrel, you're going to get more FPS anyway. With that, and also aluminium piston head. For some reason they always add FPS. I suppose it's probably the weight, I don't know. And there's a bearing in there as well. There's no bearing on the spring guide. There's just a washer. Oops. Oh dear, I'll edit that out. There's just a washer here. I think that's a washer. I don't think it's a bearing. It could be a bearing actually, I can't really say. But they don't normally come with bearings on, I don't think. So ideally you want a bearing on the spring guide and on the piston head as well. But we'll see. Okay, let's put a bit of grease on these gears then, shall we? The shims are already on. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting the gears in, and then I'll just test the shimming. I'll put the gearbox together and spin the gears and see how they work. But here we go. Just put a bit of on here, around here. It's far superior to that crap that was in here before. I think actually it was Abbey gear grease, which is alright, it's fine, but it's just a bit messy. Not everyone would go to the effort of using a paintbrush, but well, hey. Why not? Put that down like that, put a bit more on there, just on that bushing. The first gear that's going to go in is this one. I think it's a spur gear. I'm no good at remembering names. This is the big round one. Beauty of white lithium is that it kind of stays in the gearbox and doesn't get thrown around. Just put a little bit on there like that. And the other thing I'm a little bit concerned about is that these are 7mm bearing bushes. I'd be a little bit concerned about using a high powered spring in there. Mainly because they don't last forever and they will embarrass you. So again, we want that up there about 1:05. That's anti-reversal latch. This was absolutely covered in shite. The thing to watch with these is that they're on a sort of a bearing like that, and most TM anti-reversal latches are solid. There's no movement there, these are quite a little bit harder to locate. You put that last gear and I'm just going to do that like that. Now again, reapplied all the bushes, the shims. This was quite difficult to clean actually. It was absolutely full of black shite. So I think that's my door that's just gone. Be a buddy of mine.